Albuquerque. This is Lindsay.
This is Lorenzo.
And this is What's Up ABQ.
What's up, Albuquerque? This is Lorenzo.
And this is Lindsay. And today with us we have...
Hi, I'm Desiree, and I'm the owner of Lavish Hair Lounge and co-creative of Ignite 505, a local event here in Albuquerque.
And I'm her husband, Joshua Escobedo. I am owner of Gallo Negro Tattoo, and me and my wife own 2505 Craftwerks here in Albuquerque, and we have a passion of putting on a show once a year, and we look forward to it every year, and that's who we are.
So it's really cool because we kind of connected with you guys on Instagram over one thing, which was like Ignite, and then going and digging deeper into it, we were like, oh my gosh, they have all this other stuff going on, which is really cool. Tell us a little bit about the show and sort of what it is and who it serves and sort of what it does for the community.
So growing up in the hair industry, you're always around these like really cool hair shows where hairdressers get together and they create their own art. And I've been a part of many of those shows. So part of Ignite, the one piece of it is to bring hairdressers together so that we can create art. So that's kind of like the piece of the puzzle there from the salon. And then beyond that, we have a lot of clients who are vendors. They're creatives, they're local artisans, and we just bring them all together. They're all our friends, they're all people we care about, so they come. It's kind of like a block party, if you will. And my husband has a really big piece of it as well, because you'll have to talk about that.
So I run the tattoo shop here in the building. When me and my wife first got together, we both had a tattoo shop and a salon that were right next to each other. At first, we were kind of hesitant to consider bringing them into the same building together, even though they were separated by a wall. But it's just so worked out that, you know, clients of hers would come and get tattooed at my shop, or clients of mine would go get their hair done at her shop. So it was really like a piggybacking effort for each business. And so with this event that we put on, I've been to plenty of her hair shows that she's put on before. With all these creatives around us, we decided to bring everybody together, give them a platform to showcase their talent, their art, their craft, whatever that may be, and put them together for one night in a big party. Since those days of working side by side, we bought a building and we've moved our businesses into the same building, and we've also built suites in that building and have offered those suites to creatives. They can rent those out, and as of right now, we've just had we've had a couple estheticians, but right now we have a bunch of nail techs.
Nice. Is that the building we're in right now, or?
Yes.
No, very cool.
So the doors are closed because they're in there doing nails right now. But you also have a really big thing that you create with another brewery every time we do Ignite.
Oh, well, yeah. So every time we host this party, there's like a build up to it where I've gotten the chance to collaborate with Boxing Bear Brewery. Me and the owner there come together. We formulate a beer kind of to my liking.
It's always nice to be like, this is what I like, let's make it happen.
Exactly. So yeah, so each year it's been a little bit different of a brew, but I've gotten to pick all the hops in there. I've helped with making it, boiling it, transferring it, throwing the trash away, you know, transferring it from one tank to another. Just the whole process is really cool. I've done it 3 years in a row, but I can't say I'm an expert at all, just enough time.
I bet you that beer tastes much better though, if you know, like, you put this work into it, right?
Yeah, and then I'm biased. I'm like, this is the best one I've ever tried.
But it's another thing that keeps people looking forward to Ignite, because the release is usually the day before or the day of the event.
So when during the year do you guys do Ignite? What is the kind of timeline?
August, back to school, worst time to do it, but it's just what
I think parents appreciate that. They're like, new beer, I'll be there. I need a drink.
What are we doing? We have to get our kids to school, we have all this stuff changing, and we have this event we have to plan for. But in both of our industries, it's a slower service time. So behind the chair is a little slower because parents are focused on other things. So it always works out. But it's also a good evening time. It's not too hot. It's not cold. So a little bit closer to fall feels good.
So I have to be honest, like I have been in this neighborhood, we were just talking about this kind of off mic, like back and forth, because I go to Habitat a lot for different things, and I'm like, I did not know that this building existed, and I, like when we walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even know this was here. It's super cool. Can you describe sort of everything that's going on in here? Because there's a lot.
So yeah, from the outside, it's kind of like it's a refurbished automotive shop that we purchased. We did things like we renovated the whole inside, but we also changed the garage doors on the outside to, you know, large glass doors. We built the 4 suites on the inside. We separated the tattoo shop from the salon, but from the outside it just looks like a giant metal warehouse building. The signage is there, but it's a little bit off the beaten path. It's not directly on San Mateo, it's not directly on Manal, but since we've been in business, both businesses tend to be a word of mouth business. However, unless you are on those, you know, storefronts where they're on a main street where you're relying on the everyday walkthrough. We're not like on Central on Nob Hill where, you know, everybody's walking past. A lot of people seek us out for, you know, everybody's specialty, whether it's, you know, hair, tattoos, coloring or blonding, or, you know, realism tattoos, black and gray tattoos. It's just, you know, our clients kind of just roll over, and it's kept us in business for, you know, going into 12 years. So it's nothing that we've ever needed, even in year 1 or year 2, was to have a lot of walkthrough.
Yes.
So people definitely, you know, search us, find us, and then come here.
Yeah. So we are on close to the corner of Manal and San Mateo, and I like the vibe of this neighborhood. I think it's crazy. It's like we mapped it, and I was like, where are we going? You know what I mean? But I like it though. I sort of get that same sort of industrial vibe as like the area where La Cumbre and all those breweries and stuff. Like, you know, you're in the middle of like, you still have like auto shops in the neighborhood and stuff like that. But I think it's like really kind of a unique.
Yeah, I think it's funny because we always talk about this in the podcast too. Like word of mouth in this town is huge, and like if you can pass the word on, like that's how your business shows up. And so I think it's really cool that you guys are kind of in this, like you were referring to it as like a hidden gem. But you're hustling and bustling. There's so many people in here. Like I never would have thought on the outside, like there's this many people doing so many different things on the inside. So it's really cool.
We spent some time, we like to travel, and I remember specifically in New York, all the buildings are unassuming. They don't look, they're big, they're huge, you have no idea what you're walking into, and every once in a while you'd walk into this one building that was just like, wow.
You're like transported.
I loved it. I love that feeling, and like that's like one of the biggest compliments when people come in and they're like, wow, this place is so cool, you would never guess. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, no, mission accomplished.
I love that.
So I kind of wanted to ask you guys both individually, you know, hair, tattoos, 2 different things, both art firms. Do you have a certain type of hair process that you specialize in? See, I don't even know the words, but
I would say that I'm the most sought out for color, transformative color to be specific, where you're going from one extreme to the next. But if clients ask me, it's really like, I just like people. So I'll do anything that sits in my chair. I will try any texture, any length, any color. I'm just really open to a challenge, and I'll try what I do, but I only cut and I only color. I don't do any other services past that.
And do you have any type of tattoo specialty that you sort of focus on, any certain type of art or technique?
To answer that question vaguely, going back to my wife, like just me looking at what she does, I really feel like we do the same thing, which is like no matter who steps in our chair, we want to go above and beyond for them and give them something that's better than they could have thought when they walked in or when they're walking out. So with me, I do a lot of different styles of tattoos. I don't like to get bored with just one style and specialize in just one style, because it will, you know, get redundant and make me bored. So
like true artists.
Yeah.
So mainly I just want to give the client the best experience they can have and blow their expectations out of the water when they leave.
Interesting. So I've always been curious about the like tattooing process too. Like if somebody comes in, a lot of times do they just like say, I want a tattoo, and like, here's a book, look through it? Or do they come with say like, hey, I want this, this, or this, and then you as an artist will like create that, and then, or how does that work?
I mean, they can come with the simplest of ideas, and they can come with a huge folder of ideas. But basically, I kind of just want to pull out their ideas of what they see going on their body, give them like, you know, their expectations to reality and make sure we're on the same page, and then just create something that's, like I said before, better than they thought. But in general, the process, they're coming to me because they've already seen my work and they like it. So I'm pretty confident that whatever we give them, they're gonna like. But sometimes I'll say, okay, well, do you have any pictures of tattoos on somebody else that you kind of like that style? Do you have any, anything on paper in your phone that you can kind of, give me just a foot in the right directions, and then I can take it from there and definitely come up with something for them. A lot of the times, other artists might show somebody something like, hey, how do you like this as your tattoo? And some clients will be like, I don't know, like, could you redraw it or could you change this? And although that does happen to me, like, it feels good to say that I don't do that very often. I don't usually have to scrap a whole drawing and restart again for a client. I usually hit the nail on the head the first time, but that's like 80-90% of the time. Sometimes it does happen, but when it happens more than not, it's frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there might be some anxiety too if you have you're committing to it, right? So it has to be perfect. I don't know, but yeah.
I mean, I'm not one to talk. I have the most basic tattoos on planet Earth, probably. I was also a little drunk, if we're being honest. But they're here to stay, though. I'm not complaining.
My husband tells me all the time, he's like, hair's way harder than tattooing. He's like, the stuff you guys deal with is way harder than what I have to deal with. Yeah. And he's like, and it's so crazy because mine's permanent.
Yeah.
I feel like people like with tattoos, they're like, if I don't like it, I'll just get it taken away, or I'll put something on top of it or whatever later on,
Put the wrong color on the client? Done. You're done for.
Is there something that people like that you've noticed is like, I want to say Albuquerque specific, maybe New Mexico specific, that people ask for a lot or like more often than not?
Let me answer yours.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
So, I think being in New Mexico, you have like a lot of Latinos or Latinas, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like, a lot of them come in with hair down to their butt and they want to be platinum blonde when they walk out.
Okay.
And they have, dark black or brunette hair, and it's just not something that's achievable.
Orange.
Yeah, it's not something that's achievable for them, or they don't realize that they're gonna have to be here for 6 to 8 hours today and 4 weeks from now and 4 weeks from then, and then their hair might break off and then they're gonna cry and blame you for it when that's what you asked for, and we're just trying to get them there as quick and as fast as possible sometimes.
Right.
So I think it's really like,
She's like nailed it.
yeah, I think that's what she deals with more so, as far as like what a lot of people ask for, like expectations versus reality again. So
Yeah. I bleached my own hair in high school and it didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, you have really dark hair.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm like, God, I'm old. I'm a natural blonde, but it's starting to get like dingy in my roots, and I'm just like, do I really want to like commit to like the upkeep that's gonna go with that? And I'm like, I'm just not there. I'm just gonna let it go, man. So what do you think about tattoos as far as that goes? What do you think people like?
Zia's.
I know.
I was thinking that, but I think sugar skulls were like a really big thing when we first moved here. It's like every time someone came into him, it was like another sugar skull.
So what's a sugar skull?
Like Dia de los Muertos, like
Okay.
Coco. I don't know. Is that a bad reference? Like we have kids. Like,
yeah. So yeah, basically just a skull that's decorated with like flowers and ornate designs that are from like Mexican heritage of Dia de los Muertos. So a lot of people were asking for that.
Before that, I think they were jokingly called him Bito Flores because he would do flowers all the time. Mm-hmm. But he also, that's how we met. He was tattooing on the beach, essentially.
Oh.
So, of course.
Not the beach water park, right?
Nope. In Santa Barbara.
Okay. So you guys are from California originally?
I am.
Okay.
He's from here.
I'm from New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what brought you to New Mexico?
I was here for him.
Oh, nice. No,
But I loved it. He brought me here. We were visiting, and I've literally always eaten spicy food since I was a kid. And I was like, there's a state that like specializes in spicy food.
That's their thing here.
Sign me up. Like, that's where I want to be.
Nice.
So, how did both of you get started in your respective professions? Like, how did you get started? What made you go like, yeah, I think I want to do hair. Yeah, like I think I want to do tattoos.
I kind of just fell into it. I was into sports like growing up through from 5 years old to 18 years old, and then went to college for baseball. And when that started to fizzle out a couple years into it, I didn't really know what I was going to do, but my brother was already kind of in the tattooing game. He had already tattooed me. He'd already tattooed a bunch of my friends. And there were weekends or, you know, parties that we would just have a good time, and before you know it, at the end of the night, somebody's getting pierced or branded or tattooed. So and then we woke up the next day like, whoa, do you remember dude getting a tattoo? Or do you remember, you know, why does it smell like burnt flesh? Or I got this new piercing. And so at that, my brother was already in Arizona starting his tattoo shop, and at that time he's like, you can come out here and learn to tattoo. I just felt it was like too big of a commitment to tattoo permanent things on people, although I'd already done a couple. It was just on friends that didn't care. And so he's like, well, you can come and learn how to pierce. I was like, well, poking holes seems like a lot easier than actually permanent ink and skin. And so I went out there and pierced for about 2 years. And then Scottsdale, Arizona got a little expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Rent was high, so my brother's
yes.
like, he's like, you better start learning how to tattoo or you're not going to be able to pay your rent. And so I'd already done a couple of tattoos on some friends, so I just jumped in at that point. It was probably about 2004 that I started that, and just haven't looked back since.
When I moved to Albuquerque, I was a banker. I was pretty committed to climbing the corporate ladder, really like numbers, and I saw growth opportunity there. But then I moved here, and my husband's just like drawing for a living, and he's just like happy, and I'm like, well, this sucks. Like, I have to go work 9 to 5. I can't color my hair. I can't do the things that I want to do with my life because I'm confined to these rules. So I was like, I'm gonna go to hair school, and he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to hair school. And he's like, all right. And then I did, and then here we are. As a little girl, I always looked at hair photos, like the really cool, like avant-garde ones, and I would want to be like, I want to do that one day. But I think there was a period of time where I didn't think it was like possible. Mm-hmm. But watching him do something that he really loved just inspired me to go ahead and do it. Like,
that's really cool. You don't hear that very often when someone's like, you know, yeah, I was like in a career that was like solid, maybe financially, but like,
yeah.
I totally was like, you know what? No, I'm going to go do something that I actually like to do.
And I was good at it, so it made it hard to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's helping
the
me now.
Handcuffs.
It's helping me now. I like numbers. I'm a business owner, so that works. It's very rare in our industry that you have a creative and a business person that can combine those skills.
That is like the perfect combination, you know, because I feel like I'm a super creative person. You're more business minded, but like both of us together, like we would both kind of err on the side of creativity, and then we'd be like, oh crap, we gotta like do the books or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's just different. I think it's like you guys have a good thing going, so that's really cool. But you were saying something a minute ago about the benefit of being creative in Albuquerque and the cost of living. So I kind of wanted to like jump back into that for a minute, if you don't mind, sort of just mentioning what we were talking about off mic, because we weren't.
I mean, I just feel like Albuquerque is one of those places where you get to create and be creative and make a living for it. When I moved here, my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, wanted to open a tattoo shop. So I started researching small business in Albuquerque and how that works. And in rankings, actually, Albuquerque was one of the highest success rates for small businesses. And I think that just goes to show like the support you have from locals as a local business. And so, I don't know, it like made it ever since. When I saw that, I was like, I'm out, we're going, we're doing it.
You know, I feel like that's one thing that we can say with pride in New Mexico is that we support our own. Chains are okay, but I think people here are a lot more into like buying local, supporting local, like taking that word of mouth recommendation and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do that instead, because like I know someone who knows that person, like there's an actual person behind that business. And I really appreciate that about New Mexico, because that's not the case everywhere else. And so that just speaks to our creative pride too, I think.
Yeah, culture for sure is local based.
The population of Albuquerque, I think, is about 500,000, and it feels like, you know, 75,000 or 100,000. That's where I came from. And it feels that small. You run into people everywhere, but it's not. So it's there's so much opportunity here.
Yeah. Yeah, you always run into people, good or bad. But yeah, definitely happens.
Just right.
Yeah.
It's big small town kind of feel. That's one of those things about New Mexico that's like kind of endearing, but then there's some days where you're like, no, not today. Nope.
This summer was like that. It was just so dang hot. I'm like, didn't want to leave the house, but
no one sees me today. So if you were going to give advice to somebody who maybe is in Albuquerque, in New Mexico, maybe they're just starting to kind of explore what their creative passion is, they're looking at turning it into a business, or just trying to create and make some money, or just get into the community and kind of see what that's about, what kind of advice would you give them?
I know we've talked to like just a couple of friends who like might have felt stuck, like, you know, in a per se corporate job or working for the man. You know, we just tell them to jump, you know, like you have a great product, your art is good, whatever you're trying to sell is a good piece of art or whatnot. And we've told a couple of people to do that and just jump and run with it. And I feel like they've been successful since then. You know, don't be afraid, have no fear, don't be afraid to fail. If you fail, you know, just learn from it and, you know, continue to grow or learn from your mistakes. I'm sure, you know, we've all failed in our own little endeavors, but the community will support you, and I think it's good here. I think everybody appreciates that. You know, if you're trying to do your own thing, you know, people will see that. So.
I also think that we're in a community where people are really willing to share their ideas, their failures, their lessons with people, and that you could or should align yourself with someone who's already done what you've done or is where you want to be. Any type of mentorship or coaching. I know as a business owner, while I've always liked numbers, I have a business coach, and they really help keep me grounded and focused and out of my feels about things, because it's hard. You feel a certain way, but that feeling isn't always real. So to have somebody who can help remind you of your goals and your vision and have that faith in you is really important to succeed well.
You know, it's funny because we've heard this from a lot of different people in different creative areas, that everybody kind of says the same thing, and it's really reassuring. And it's that in New Mexico you can try something and you can fail, but like you can fail better. Like you can come back and fail better. And so it's really neat to see that the community's behind you. Like, okay, yeah, maybe that didn't work. Like, let's tweak some things and try it a different way and see what happens. And I think that we are a very forgiving community. Like, we're willing to be like, all right, like, we've got your back. Like, we'll support you in the next step, whatever that is. And I think New Mexico is a great place where you can make mistakes and then come back from it and be better when you do.
Those mistakes in bigger cities, you know, LA or New York, those people are waiting for you to fall because there's 100 people waiting for that same position that you are in. And there's such a community here that everyone kind of has a good sense of we can all elevate together and we can all be CEOs. We can all be successful creatives, and that mentality and mindset is stronger when there's more people that believe that way.
Well, I think your event, like with Ignite, that's just proof that, you know, there's people that are wanting to do that, and they're willing to support each other. Like you were just telling us off mic about your friend's podcast that's coming up. I'm excited to listen to it. Like, I'm stoked. I'm like, another podcast, hooray. Like, let's do it. Let's make more stuff. Like, let's, put New Mexico on the map for creativity.
Yeah, 100%. I want to talk more about the event too. Like, what does that look like? Like, what are the details? Like, what's the day? Where's it going to be at?
So we don't have a date next year, but obviously, again, we'll brew another beer and we'll have it ready for the party to release that day. Basically, it's within the community of, the people that we know, the artisans that we know. There's glass blowers, Rashawn at High Desert. There's jewelry makers like Arelis. There's pottery makers like Angelo that make pottery, just different people that we've enjoyed seeing making their crafts. So what we do is we pick a date, we align it with the release of the beer, and then we start accepting vendors. Right now, I think when we first started the first year, we maybe had like 15 or 16 vendors, and then we had 22 vendors last year, and then this year we had 25, and we're just consistently trying to make room for more and everybody. So next year we'll probably have 30. They're all lined up around our property in like 10 by 10 tents. They come and set up a couple hours before, and we get it ready to go, and then we have people come. We have security at the gate. We start letting people in at a little bit before 6, and the party goes for about 4 hours. And it's we give away some beer tickets. They sell beer at the event. and people just purchase things that they like. They go around. There's crystals, there's tarot card readers, there's just a lot of different people there. I'm sure there's some food vendors. It's just a really good time. It's just like we had a lot of family there this year. We tried to estimate how many people came. And when we do that, we always underestimate because we at least have 25 vendors here. So you count one person there. There's usually 2 persons in each tent, so that's 50.
Right.
My wife has 25 people here that work for her and then their significant other, so that's another 50. We're at like
100 people
just right there, and then the brewery has about 15 people that come and their significant other. You just start counting the people that come and the friends that they bring them, and I think we're close to 450 people that come through the gates at a certain time. So.
And that's here on the property here?
Yeah, so aligned with all that, and I try to listen to the feedback of people who are attending. And inside the event, we open all the garage doors, so people are coming in and out of the building through the night, and there's a hair show that goes on. And so within that hair show, we are joined by 6 or 7 other salons in town with their team, and they each have 10 minutes to finish a look on stage. And usually the looks are really artsy, kind of out there, things that we're not doing in the salon every day.
You need volunteers?
Yeah, it's so fun. We do.
So you're on the hair show. You're doing hair.
We're doing live hair, and clients get to see something go from one thing to another, and it happens so fast. So each stylist has 10 minutes on stage to finish the look, and we had about 16 stylists doing looks this year. So that's happening, and while that's happening, you can sign up to get tattooed. There's flash hanging. You pick your flash, and then you wait for them to text you. They tattoo you there. So if you're attending, there's a few booths that do interactive painting, and then there's the pottery guy. It's not just pottery. He's got his wheel out and he's doing stuff. And the glass blowers, they're not just set up with their stuff. They're literally blowing glass right there, and you get to watch all these people create things and socialize and have a drink, and I think it's just very inspiring to be around all the art, even if it's not your art.
Well, I think you learn about the appreciation of what actually goes into that finished product, and it's not I wouldn't know anything about glass blowing, but watching it, I'd be amazed.
It gets me every time.
Yeah, people are drawn to that flame or fire, and
it's a night event, so it glows.
Yeah. How can the community support you guys moving forward? What can they do for the event or for your business now? How can they support you the best?
They can just show up and just buy something is what we recommend. They don't have to buy any tattoos from me. They're not paying for any hair. We're doing this for the other people that are around us. Yeah. We want them to have a good night where they made more money than this other event that they went to. And not that that's a competition. We just want them to feel like coming out was a success for them. And if we brought our friends from out of town and they came in and they bought, a clay ashtray and they bought a glass piece, or, they came and bought some jewelry, or they bought some crystals, or just supported them, that's kind of what it's about. So
yeah, we don't have a vendor fee. Yeah. Really, we just want to
really nice.
Curate a nice selection of local people. So there's no vendor fee, there's no ticket fee. The event's totally free. We absorb 100% of the cost, and everyone's you should charge, and I don't disagree with them, but right now it's purely a passion project, and it's fun. There's no expectations attached. Right. So we're going to continue doing it until we can.
And then you also have that barrier lifted, and you can get that momentum going, right? So that's also really cool too.
It's just fun when there's no expectations.
Yeah.
I feel you're always pleasantly surprised. You're I don't expect anything. We'll see what happens, and then it always ends up being a really awesome thing when you're done. Yeah. It's oh wow, that was better than I expected.
I feel once we charge a vendor, they're gonna be well, I want to sit here, and how many people are coming, and then you have to have a contract, and then I'm I don't want to deal with all that right now. Just show up. I'll have you on my list. I'll see you there and have fun.
No, I think that's the best way to do it. I've done like, so I make jewelry on the side, and I've done some things where it's like you pay the vendor fee and then you sit there and you like don't even break even from the vendor fee, and you're just like,
Yeah.
all right, well. But if you don't have that expectation and it's just like, I'm just showing up to have a good time, like you're gonna have a good time.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool. It's kind of exciting.
So before we get into like contact info and all that stuff, which we'll make sure to get you guys out there, both of you. So California, New Mexico originally, but red or green for both you guys?
Ooh. Man, you go first.
All right. I mostly prefer red chili, but no matter where I go, if it's like a newer place, I just always go to Christmas. Like, can't go wrong. And then you just judge it, right? And this green wasn't hot. This red chili wasn't hot, but it had great flavor. Sometimes you just don't eat the other half, but usually smash it all.
There you go.
So, but
Do you have a favorite place in town that you like to go, like that's consistently like a favorite, or do you kind of just?
we pop around. We do have our different favorites, I think. Like a classic, we'll go to Mary and Tito's down on 4th, and they serve just a half plate of beans and a half plate of red chili, and you just get tortillas and you just scoop it up.
Oh, there you go.
And
good.
that's pretty consistent. Like with our I don't know if they're open Sundays, but if we had like a long weekend, first thing we go to in that morning, like we need some red chili.
Yeah.
That's one of mine.
Nice.
My question is always, which one's hotter?
Yeah.
And then they'll tell me, and I always select the hotter one.
Oh wow.
So I'm more after the heat than the color of the chili.
Oh, nice.
Red chili cheeseburger, green chili cheese. I'm down for both, but I want it to be hot.
There you go. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah. Restaurant wise, man,
It's hard. It's
It's
a hard
so
question. It's not a
hard.
fair question by any means, but
I'm trying to think. I had one that came to mind and then I totally lost it.
no, that's okay.
But I do like Cocina Azul. Their food's really good. Even El Pinto, sometimes their chili can get hot. So we got married there.
Oh, no way. Wow.
That's a beautiful place.
It was pretty.
Wow. Now I can't. Now I'm like, you know what we should do after this? Like,
Yeah.
I know. I think I'm gonna start. It's funny because I am kind of a chili person now that I've been here long enough, but I've been starting to get really picky about sopapillas, which is really funny. I didn't think I was gonna be that person,
Yeah.
and the other day I was like, I think we were I don't remember where we were, but I was like, these aren't good. These are old.
Yeah.
I was just like, who am I?
I work in downtown Santa Fe, and one of my coworkers has the hookup at Tomasitas, so she'll bring a tray, and I'm like, they're good, but if they're
It's not big like that in Mexican because I don't prefer sopapilla. I enjoy them, but I'm
Yeah.
at the end of my meal, they bring this up. I'm like,
Oh, I think it's the perfect little ending.
It is.
Yeah.
A little bit with a little honey.
You know what?
It's just that sweet to your savory
Yeah.
kind of balance. I feel like.
Sopapilla is part of the main dish for me too, though.
Yeah.
I use it to sort of make my little mini stuffed sopapilla. Yeah.
He's like a second meal inside
Yeah.
your meal. Yeah, it's funny because he's from northern New Mexico, Santa Fe, and your family, and then my other friend whose family's from Santa Fe, they do this thing where they put honey on top of their food with their chili, and I used to think it was so weird, and now I'm like, that is delicious. I get it. It's that sweet just cuts the heat in half. It's a nice. Yeah.
stuff.
New Mexico Beef Jerky Company. That was the restaurant I was thinking of.
Oh, nice.
But they have a hot teriyaki jerky too. It is hot.
That sounds good.
It's
I can see the wheels turning. He's like, I know
good.
exactly what we're
It
doing.
is.
We've been married for 14 years, and I've been trying to drag her to El Modelo all 14 years.
Wait, I've been there.
Not with me. I beg you. I'm like, can we please go? Tamale and stuff sopapilla, that's the best. 1,300 calories. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's good there too. It's a solid spot.
Yeah.
So go ahead and let us know kind of your social media handles, how people can get a hold of you if they want to book hair, they want to book a tattoo. How can they get a hold of you? Where can they find you on social media so they can support you?
So you can easily find us at Lavish Hair Lounge on Instagram and online www.lavishhairlounge.com, or you could call the salon 505-508-9672. Those are the three main sources that we respond to.
my shop is called Gallo Negro Tattoo. First of all, it's probably best to just walk in. We're located at 2505 Quincy Street Northeast in Albuquerque, 87110. My Instagram handle is Gallo Negro Tattoo NM. And we do have a couple of other artists in the shop, and I would recommend them before recommending myself, because just like everybody else, we want to kind of spread it out. I stay pretty consistently busy. Got 2 beautiful daughters, and we run this show. So if I could, get them in the, other people in their chair to make them busier, I'd like to do that first and foremost. But yeah. You can also text 505-717-2307. That's the shop number. It's an iPhone. But walking in is usually best, and checking out our Instagrams.
Very cool.
And then as far as the event goes, I know you guys have an Instagram for that too. Did you want to share so people can check it out? 2505 Craftwerks is the Instagram handle, and you can see all of our vendors. We constantly promote them throughout the year, and we'll drop a date for next year in the next few months. Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for, did you have another question?
No,
Okay, cool. No. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us. Definitely.
Yeah, thanks for letting us come into your space. It's been really cool, and I'm just excited to take a look around. And we'll post some pictures and stuff on the Instagram too, so people can see it.